Hello everyone, welcome to this video overview of our Dropbox assignments for the semester for Technology for School Administrators. Just wanted to take time to actually go through the four major assignments for the semester and the due dates in which they are scheduled. So we're just going to hop in right away. I'm up here in the navigation bar, I'm under Assessments and I'm under Dropbox. So even though these items actually do appear in the content section as they're coming up for the course assignment, this is where you can find the actual course information outlining your requirements. I'm just going to briefly jump in here as a student, so my view that I'll share on the screen will look like yours. So Assessments, Dropbox. We're going to look at the school data analysis letter. And so by the time you get to this assignment, you will have already had a brief overview of 21st century schools, what it means to be in a digital age of learning, and we'll do some data analysis. Many of the other classes have some of the same kind of content gathering. I use some of the same research documents on how to gather data. I'm a big proponent of Victoria Barnhart's data analysis of segueing data. And so if you've had me before in class, you're going to see that article again. I think it's a really good, palatable way to process how we look at data in school. So you will have already experienced looking up data for a particular school. May I suggest at this point that the school that you've identified to start at the beginning of the semester, that's truly the school that you adopt for the rest of the semester. It'll make your design of the makerspace, your technology integration plan, it'll make those artifacts more applicable. So choose your school wisely. It doesn't mean that you can't change your school. I'm just saying based on previous experience, it's good to pick a school, do your data analysis, and then keep that as you roll through the semester because you'll have all that data already in the bank. So your first item will be to do a data analysis letter, and actually your audience is that you're going to be communicating to your external school stakeholders, and remember there's voice in everything. So if you're talking to teachers, you use a lot of teacherese. If you talk to external stakeholders, your language is a little different. So even if we use buzzwords like 21st century learning, we need to explain that to parents. They don't understand maybe potentially the concept of 21st century learning environments. So what does that mean? So in this letter, you do need to craft what does it mean to have a 21st century learning culture? What does it mean to be living in the digital age? What do the data sources about your school say? And what does the future hold for your school under your new leadership? So the role playing here is that you're the new school administrator. You need to understand your students' needs, your parents, your community, and you want to help create a culture of 21st century learning. So you're going to send out a letter. This is the letter that would go public to your community at large, your parent group, and potentially your community stakeholders. So think from that lens. This isn't a teacher letter. This isn't to your staff. So, but think like a leader, think like a principal. This is one of the biggest shifts that you're going to have to make is you're not a teacher and this is not your classroom. This is the larger scope. What does the data say about your school? Positive and potentially not as positive. And how do you build that into a conversation of just a one-page letter to your parents telling them what it's going to be like under your leadership as you move towards a 21st century digital learning age? Okay, so I'm just going to hop back to the assessments under the Dropbox and we're going to talk about the second artifact. So about middle of the semester, you're going to be required to design a makerspace project. And so by the time you've completed Laura Fleming's makerspace book, you'll have a better understanding about the concept behind makerspace. So at this point, I don't expect you to truly understand what a makerspace is. Makerspaces can be as simple as no tech type of initiatives, or it can be tech type of initiatives, which it often is. So you're going to role play yet again. So your PTO has decided to give you $5,000 to actually start a makerspace. So you'll need to work with your PTO to actually design a space that will foster creativity and innovation. Develop a comprehensive document that describes your plan for designing this space. So notice right off the bat, you're just collaborating with PTO. So shared leadership is a model that you'll hear about in this course as well. Distributive leadership, how do you get everybody at the table? PTO wouldn't be the only people you would want to include. So who else would be in that group? Maybe teachers, students. It'd be important to have the voice of all stakeholders, community members, maybe people that actually are outside of your school community specifically that could help support an ongoing initiative of a makerspace in your building. So things to consider as you're planning. These are just kind of ideas about where you should be. Who are the learners? We need to address that. What is the purpose of the space and who will access it? What are the global trends and practices for creating this space? What are the themes that you developed? And what equipment and material will help you design the space? Laura Fleming outlines this kind of makerspace planning cycle, and this is something to begin to consider. So again, I've outlined those up here. Think about this as you build your plan. The plan is broken up into 4 specific sections. Think about how you integrate these questions into the sections. Just because it's asking you the prompting questions doesn't mean I want you just to answer who's the shared leadership. Again, this is a plan. Set your plan up. What's your intro? Who's your school? What's the data say about your school? Every plan needs some kind of intro section. So just because it's not outlined, don't make the assumption that you don't need to include some type of overview of your plan. What's the purpose of the plan and who's your audience? Then get into that. Who will be the people that are included in the group? Tell me about that. Tell me about it definitively. Think about it in the way that it's an action. The PTO will meet twice a week. We will discuss the plan of creating a makerspace. We'll discuss the community's interest in creating a STEM program or outreach for service and support. So whatever the plan is for you, I don't want to pigeonhole anybody, but I'm giving you ideas to think about. How do you set this up? It's not just about answering the questions. Addressing the makerspace cycle, these items need to be included. Developing the themes is a big one. What are the areas and themes in which the makerspace will focus on? You don't want to make your makerspace so big that you can't address it. So you will need to include a small budget. So that could be an additional document that's a spreadsheet if you want, or it can be a table. So I'm buying this item, it's going to cost this much, I'm getting this many, and this would be my total. You only have $5,000, so I want to see how you would spend it. When we talk about implementation and sustainability, it's important to know where is the money coming from long term. And not just, well, I'll write some grants and we'll go ask for some money. No, who are your partners? Look at the school. Who are the community participants at large? Who are the people that you would go to and say, I want you to partner with this initiative before we start. Can we get a commitment to provide straws when we need them again? So those are things to consider. The implementation, timelines, teachers will be made aware, students will be trained. How does that look? It's not just a paragraph. Okay, so notice there's not a page requirement. There is a rubric at the bottom of evaluation. But again, this is a living, breathing document I hope that you will use down the road in your own school. Okay, so I'm at the 9-minute mark. I'm going to have to talk really quick. So once you've done a makerspace design, the technology integration plan will feel very similar. So one thing you need to know is that as the semester rolls on, I will begin to make clues to say, you know, now's a good time for you to go write your school vision for your plan. Each one of the modules is actually a part of this ongoing tech plan. And if you will just take time to write each of those pieces as we go throughout the semester, by the time you get to the end, it'll be really easy. You'll have it all finished and you can just put some polishing touches up on it. So the 7 items that are listed there are the things that need to be included in the tech plan. It's a really good layout with good headings, so use those as headings. But remember, before you tell me about your school vision, you need to tell me about who your school is. Nice little paragraph for an intro. my school is blank, I'm the new principal, we have an initiative of this, we've recently implemented a new makerspace. Whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be a makerspace. Think about the technology integration plan as one item. What's the one thing you're integrating? Don't think big, think narrow, because we can always grow in scope. So make the suggestion of we're implementing a iPad initiative, and it's focused specifically on reading. We're implementing a Chromebook initiative, specifically focused on science concepts. So I think you get where I'm going. Let's don't think broad, think real narrow. What's the one thing you want to change in teachers' practice from an instructional technology perspective? And that will make more sense as we roll out each one of the modules. But when you're all said and done, you'll have 7 sections to your plan. It'll feel very familiar to what you did in the makerspace plan. So you'll have a lot of foundation on that. And I think you'll enjoy what you put together. And the idea behind this is that this is a living, breathing document that you can use when you move into your own school. Okay, wrapping up, I just have 3 more minutes. Field experience and reflection. So if you're new to our program, each one of our courses requires you to do a field experience in a school. Yes, even in the summer. So there are 4 sections to this. You have to have a completed background check. There's information on our website for that. If you need assistance, please let me know. You do have to have a background check in order to go into any of the schools. Even though you have one through your school, you need to do one through the university so we can sanction you to be in other people's school. If you have not been in a different school district, now's your time. This is a perfect opportunity to connect with other people in other school districts. I have a lot of friends that are in the tech departments in all school districts across the state of Oklahoma. If you need a connection, I'd be happy to get you connected with someone so you could go actually do some observations there to get your other district checks, and also to get an opportunity to see it from a different lens. So let me know if I could be of an assistance, any assistance. You're going to do 10 hours of observation, so that's one section, and then you're going to perform an interview. So these are the interviews. You're going to interview 2 teachers and 1 administrator. So that could be a tech director administrator. Your 2 teachers could actually be 1 classroom teacher and maybe tech integration specialist in the school, somebody that actually works with the teachers to do training. So I'm flexible on that. Just let me know what you think you need to do. But there are 3 interviews. You'll ask these questions. You'll do kind of a synopsis of those questions. I don't need verbatim listing, this person said this person said this. I need to know who you interviewed, what their job function is, and I need a summary of what you got from that interview question. You know, they said they recommended blank, or they have no idea. They don't integrate anything like that. So those are good pieces. So that's what the interview portion looks like. It's synopsis of the interviews, but I do need to know who you've interviewed and their function. So as I mentioned, the field experience is 10 hours. And then you're going to keep track of that field experience in some kind of table with these headings. Where did you go? What did you do? What was the activity? What was the location? So on and so forth. And then you're going to write a reflective writing. This is the last part of the whole totality of the experience. And so these questions you're specifically going to ask. What standards did the field experience support and how? Look, I've outlined the field experience standards that it potentially could connect to for the course. So use those. Standard 4.1 is what I think it connects with. You're going to answer these questions and write up a scenario. Stick to APA formatting. I know that may be new for people. There's some APA resources in the tech class if you need them. There's some at the library for UCO. Reach out to me if you need assistance. I'm pretty lenient when it comes to the APA formatting in this course because it is a beginner course for a lot of folks moving into the program. So don't sweat it. Just do your best. The final artifact that you submit will be the detailed account of your face-to-face interviews, your field experience log, and your reflection writing. Now, I do want to point out the last 30 seconds that I have. You can use 2 hours out of the 10 for the actual artifact writing. So I need to see 8 hours in the field and another 2 credited for gathering your data and writing. So I hope that's a good overview of all the different assignments. I hope you feel better about them. Let me know if you have questions. And with 5 seconds to spare, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk online soon.